Well, there have been arrests in connection with the explosion at Harvard Medical School over the weekend. The FBI says 2 men from Massachusetts have been arrested. We are expecting to learn more details in a news conference at 1 o'clock. Police said the explosion happened inside a building on the medical school's campus early Saturday morning. No one was injured.
Explosion that occurred on the campus of the Harvard Medical School in Boston on Saturday, November 1st at 2:45 a.m. 18-year-old Logan David Patterson and 20-year-old Dominique Frank Cardoza were taken into custody early this morning and charged for their alleged involvement in the explosion. According to the charging documents, at approximately 2:33 a.m. on November 1st, surveillance cameras captured 2 suspects wearing face coverings, walking near the medical school and lighting what appeared to be a Roman candle fireworks.
It happened when almost no one was watching. In the early hours of November 1st, the silence of Harvard Medical School was broken by something that didn't belong there, an explosion. Not a gas leak, not an accident, a deliberate act. Security cameras would later capture 2 hooded figures sprinting away from the scene, their faces hidden, their destination unknown. And just like that, the world's most respected medical institution became the center of a mystery no one saw coming. No one was injured, no labs destroyed, no manifesto, no warning, no claim of responsibility. Only a short stretch of scorched hallway on the 4th floor of the Goldenson Building, and a single conclusion from investigators: this was intentional. But if no one was meant to die, then what was the message? Because whoever did this didn't just set off a device. They set off a chain reaction of fear, speculation, and questions Harvard still can't answer. Why target a place dedicated to healing and research? Was it revenge, protest, sabotage, or something deeper, something personal? In a university built on answers, this one case has none. Before we dive in, make sure you like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel. It helps more people find these stories that remind us how even the safest places can hide secrets. And as always, I'd love to know what you think. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from and your first instinct. What do you believe happened that night at Harvard Medical School? Because what started as a quiet morning in Boston has now become one of the strangest and most unsettling mysteries in academia. Just before 3 a.m. on Saturday, November 1st, 2025, an alarm sounded inside the Goldenson Building, part of Harvard Medical School's Longwood campus in Boston, Massachusetts. At that hour, the building should have been quiet. Only a few security lights glowing in the corridors, the hum of ventilation systems, the soft click of refrigerated storage in the labs. But the alarm wasn't just a routine glitch. Within moments, officers responding to the call reported seeing 2 individuals fleeing the building, both dressed in dark clothing, both moving quickly toward the nearby medical district. When firefighters entered the building, they found the source of the alarm on the 4th floor. A small section of hallway was blackened by soot. The walls showed the clear signature of a controlled explosion, focused, localized, and intentional. It wasn't powerful enough to collapse walls or damage the lab equipment nearby. There were no casualties, no flames spreading through the building. But the message was unmistakable. Something, or someone, had been deliberately targeted. The Boston Fire Department's arson unit arrived soon after. Their initial assessment was brief but direct. The blast appears intentional. It wasn't an electrical short, and it wasn't caused by chemicals stored in the labs. The Harvard University Police Department secured the area, and for hours, investigators worked through the night, collecting debris, analyzing burn patterns, and downloading footage from every nearby security camera. By morning, word began to spread. Students were woken by messages about an incident on campus. Faculty received alerts urging calm. The university released a short statement saying there were no injuries and no ongoing threat. But behind those carefully chosen words was a much more disturbing reality. Someone had managed to plant a device inside one of the most secure research buildings in the country and vanish into the night without a trace. By sunrise, the investigation was already in full motion. The Harvard University Police Department, HUPD, took the lead, immediately joined by the Boston Police Department's bomb squad and arson unit. Within hours, the FBI was also on site, confirming their involvement, but refusing to comment on any active leads. Their statement was brief. "We're assisting our local partners." We'll refer to the Harvard University Police Department for further updates. That single sentence, measured and distant, told the public everything and nothing at the same time. Inside the Goldenson Building, forensic teams began mapping the blast radius. Early analysis suggested a small improvised device, possibly placed deliberately in a hallway alcove rather than a lab. The precision implied intent, someone who knew where to plant it to avoid detection but still make a statement. Investigators also pulled footage from campus cameras and nearby hospitals, hoping to trace the two figures seen running from the scene. The images, released later by several outlets, showed two hooded individuals in dark clothing, one slightly taller, the other carrying what appeared to be a backpack, but the faces were obscured. No clear identification, no known suspects. Officials described the incident as intentional but isolated. Careful wording meant to calm students and faculty while signaling that the investigation was far from over. Meanwhile, classes and research resumed the same day. Harvard Medical School issued a statement reassuring the public that there was no ongoing threat to the community, even as patrols around the Longwood campus doubled. But in Boston's academic circles and across the internet, speculation had already begun to spiral. Who were those two people? How did they access a high-security facility after hours? And what exactly were they trying to say with a bomb that seemed designed not to kill, but to send a message? As soon as the first photos of the suspects hit the internet, the story exploded far beyond Boston. Within hours, posts flooded Reddit, X, formerly Twitter, and YouTube, each one asking the same question: who would bomb Harvard Medical School, and why? With so little official information, speculation took over. One of the most discussed threads on Reddit's REI True Crime Forum pointed out that the explosion happened in a building known for neuroscience and genetic research, a fact that sparked wild theories about whether the motive was political, ideological, or even tied to a recent research controversy. Some users connected it to animal rights activism, claiming Harvard's labs have previously faced criticism for animal testing. Others speculated it might be an act of academic sabotage, a disgruntled student or researcher lashing out after disciplinary action or rejection. On X, conversations were faster and harsher. Photos of the two hooded figures were picked apart frame by frame, with users zooming in on their posture, stride, and clothing, trying to determine their gender, age, or even whether one might be an employee. A few posts claimed the shorter suspect appeared to carry a researcher's ID badge, while others insisted it was just a reflection from the light. No official confirmation ever followed. Meanwhile, conspiracy corners of social media went further, some suggesting it was a staged incident designed to distract from larger university issues or government research oversight. Again, none of these claims have been verified by any credible source. But amidst the chaos, a quieter, more rational discussion began to surface, one focused on access control. Because to enter that part of the Goldenson Building after hours, someone would need clearance, a badge, a code, or help from someone who had it. And that detail, the quiet, technical one, may be the most important clue of all. Investigators have not confirmed whether the suspects breached entry or were granted it, but Harvard's lab security systems are typically badge restricted and logged. If either suspect had legitimate access, that could narrow the list of possible culprits dramatically. For now, law enforcement has not released any names, motives, or affiliations. All we know for certain is that two people entered, planted a device, and vanished, leaving behind only questions. And online, those questions keep multiplying. Why this building? Why this method? And why a bomb designed to send a message instead of destroy? Until the FBI or Harvard police reveal more, the internet continues to do what it always does: fill the silence with theories, arguments, and speculation. But beneath all of that noise, one truth remains. Someone out there knows exactly what happened. By Saturday afternoon, the quiet calm of Harvard's campus had been replaced by something else: unease. Faculty and students returning to class found security tape across one section of the Goldenson Building, with officers stationed at every entrance. What had once been an open, welcoming academic space now looked more like a controlled investigation zone. The Harvard University Police Department issued a campus-wide notice. The explosion at the Goldenson Building was intentional. There are no injuries and no current threat to the community. We are working with federal and state partners to identify those responsible. It was short, cautious, and deliberate. But behind those words, students and staff were already on edge. Anonymous comments on university message boards described fear, confusion, and frustration over the lack of details. Some researchers worried the event could spark increased surveillance or restricted access to labs. Others voiced anger that Harvard didn't release more information about the suspects or their motives. In the neighboring Longwood Medical area, several hospitals, including Boston Children's and Brigham and Women's, increased their own security measures, coordinating with campus police. Meanwhile, FBI presence became more visible. Investigators were seen entering and leaving the building through the service entrance. Vans marked with bomb squad insignia were parked nearby for most of the weekend. Still, the official tone from all agencies remained careful and consistent, intentional, under investigation, no further threat. That didn't stop the questions. How could someone infiltrate one of the most secure university facilities in the country without triggering alarms until after detonation? Were they insiders, or did they have help from someone who worked there? As classes resumed the following Monday, faculty members opened lectures not with research updates, but with reassurances. "We are safe," one biology professor reportedly told her students, "but it's okay if you don't feel that way." Harvard administrators later announced plans to review all building access logs and lab security systems, emphasizing that safety remains the top priority. But for many students and staff, the unease lingers. Because in a place built on knowledge, nothing is more unsettling than not knowing. And as of now, the university still doesn't, at least not publicly. In the days that followed, investigators turned their focus toward one goal: identifying the two figures seen fleeing the building. The security footage, now viewed by millions online, became the centerpiece of the case. Two people, dressed head to toe in dark clothing, one slightly taller, one shorter, both wearing gloves, both keeping their faces turned away from the cameras. Still, there were details. Investigators noted that the pair moved quickly, but not chaotically, like people who knew exactly where they were going. The taller figure appeared to hold a phone or small device, possibly a flashlight. The shorter one carried a backpack, the same one believed to have contained the small explosive. The footage ended just outside the Longwood Medical area, where they disappeared into the dark streets leading toward the Fenway neighborhood. From there, no confirmed sightings. Harvard police released still images of the suspects to the public, asking anyone with information to come forward. The Boston Police Department encouraged residents to review personal security footage, doorbell cameras, dash cams, or parking garage surveillance for any movement between 2:30 and 3:00 a.m. on November 1st. Tips poured in, but none have yet led to arrests. Behind the scenes, forensic analysts are believed to be examining chemical residues and wiring fragments from the device. Early speculation among experts suggests it may have been a low-yield, improvised explosive designed for noise and damage rather than mass destruction. That detail, the restraint of the device, has become one of the most puzzling aspects of this case. Why go through the effort of breaking into a high-security building, building a device, and escaping undetected, only to cause minimal damage? The FBI has not released any official updates on possible motives, but their continued involvement indicates the seriousness of the case. As of now, no connection has been established to extremist groups, and no manifesto or communication has surfaced online. For investigators, it's like chasing a shadow. 2 people in the night, 1 small blast, and 1,000 unanswered questions. The search continues, quietly, methodically, and mostly behind closed doors. But every day that passes without an arrest only deepens the mystery. Because if those 2 figures could slip in and out of Harvard unnoticed once, what's to stop them from doing it again? As the investigation deepened, the story took on a life of its own. News outlets from Boston to London ran headlines calling it the Harvard bomb mystery. On cable networks, anchors replayed the grainy footage of the 2 hooded suspects over and over as analysts debated whether this was a message, a warning, or something far more personal. But it was online, on platforms like Reddit, TikTok, and X, where the real storm hit. Clips of the blast site circulated alongside theories that ranged from chilling to absurd. One viral post claimed the suspects were disgruntled grad students. Another insisted it was a coordinated test of campus security. Neither claim has been supported by any evidence. Still, the power of online speculation is that it doesn't need proof, just attention. Within a day, creators were posting video breakdowns, comparing shadows, stride patterns, even guessing at accents from muffled security audio. Each new theory pulled thousands of views, and sometimes false leads. Meanwhile, students at Harvard faced their own form of pressure. Some felt the media painted their school as unsafe or secretive. Others said the coverage ignored the fear spreading quietly across campus. A few spoke anonymously to reporters, describing sleepless nights, repeated security checks, and a growing sense that this wasn't just a random act. One medical researcher told the Boston Globe, "You don't do something like this without a reason. Whoever did it, they wanted to send a message." But no one knows what that message was, Shana Marchais. On social media, high-profile voices began weighing in, not politicians or celebrities, but academics, scientists, and alumni. Many called for transparency, urging the university to release more details about lab access, security logs, or possible motives. But Harvard stayed firm. All public statements repeated the same refrain. The investigation is active and ongoing. We will share verified information when possible. It was the careful language of an institution trying to maintain control in the middle of chaos. Still, with every hour that passed, the gap between official silence and public curiosity grew wider. And in that gap, the unknown, speculation thrives. Because until the suspects are named and the motive revealed, the Harvard explosion remains more than just a crime scene. It's a mystery people can't stop talking about. Now that the dust has settled, some theories have proven more grounded than others, supported not by online chatter, but by what little evidence has actually been confirmed. At the top of that list is the insider theory. According to security experts familiar with Harvard's building access systems, the Goldenson Building requires electronic badge entry, especially after hours. Every swipe, every entry is logged. That means whoever entered that night either had legitimate access or was helped by someone who did. That fact alone points investigators inward, toward a smaller circle: students, staff, contractors, or researchers with security clearance. It wouldn't be the first time academic institutions faced internal sabotage or protest. In 2023, a researcher at another Ivy League university was arrested for deliberately damaging lab equipment following a dispute over authorship. Those patterns, academic stress, professional resentment, and access, echo faintly here. Then there's the activist motive. Harvard Medical School has occasionally been targeted by protests over animal research, though none have ever turned violent. Some Reddit users and journalists speculated whether this could be an extreme offshoot of that same sentiment, a statement meant to shock rather than harm. But investigators have not confirmed any link to activist groups. A third, more technical theory focuses on research-related espionage or data theft, With Harvard's labs housing groundbreaking studies, from gene editing to neurological disorders, the potential for corporate or research espionage always exists. Some security analysts have suggested that the explosion could have been a distraction meant to cover up theft or data corruption. Still, as of now, no missing research, no data breaches, and no physical thefts have been reported publicly. The most sobering theory is the simplest, that this was a test, a controlled explosion placed carefully, designed to see how far someone could go before being detected. If true, it raises a chilling question. Was this just the beginning? The FBI's continued silence could mean many things: secrecy to protect an active investigation, or simply a lack of concrete leads. But what's clear is that officials are treating this as more than a prank or protest. Someone planned this. Someone studied the building, built the device, and vanished into the night. And somewhere, that person is watching the same footage the rest of us are, knowing they're still out there. As of now, the investigation into the Harvard Medical School explosion remains officially open and ongoing. More than a week has passed since that early morning blast shook the quiet halls of the Goldenson Building. Yet no arrests have been made, no suspects named, and no motive publicly confirmed. The Harvard University Police Department continues to work alongside the FBI, the Boston Police Department's bomb squad, and the Massachusetts State Police. All agencies have maintained a coordinated silence, sharing only the minimum. The explosion was intentional. There is no ongoing threat. Behind those words, though, the scope of the investigation appears broad. Forensic analysts are believed to be comparing explosive residue with databases of known materials. Digital forensics teams are reviewing surveillance logs, network activity, and any electronic badge entries recorded around the time of the incident. Meanwhile, Harvard's administration has quietly tightened security protocols. Access hours have been shortened in some departments, and badge-based entry logs are being audited more frequently. Faculty and students have been urged to report any unusual activity or unauthorized access. Still, there's been no indication that investigators are close to identifying the suspects seen on camera. That continued uncertainty has left the Harvard community in a strange limbo. Classes go on, labs reopen, but the tension never fully fades. The thought lingers that someone out there was able to breach the very heart of one of the world's most respected research institutions and walk away unseen. Publicly, speculation has begun to slow, replaced by frustration. Many online voices now question how an incident so deliberate could produce so few answers. Others warn that the case may quietly go cold if no break emerges soon. And yet, law enforcement insists they are haunted, following multiple promising leads. Whether that means they're close to a breakthrough or simply holding the line, no one outside the investigation really knows. What's clear is this: Harvard Medical School is still healing from an act that could have been far worse. And until those responsible are found, the unanswered question remains, not just who did it, but why Harvard? Sometimes, it's not the explosion itself that leaves the biggest mark. It's the silence that follows. At Harvard Medical School, the smoke has cleared. The alarms have stopped. The halls are open again. But the questions linger, like echoes bouncing off the walls of a place built on discovery, now shaken by mystery. What happened inside the Goldenson Building that night wasn't random. It wasn't accidental. It was planned. Someone entered, planted a device, and vanished, leaving behind confusion, fear, and a puzzle that even the brightest minds in science haven't yet solved. And maybe that's what makes this story so unsettling. Because if it could happen at Harvard, with all its prestige, its security, its reputation, where couldn't it happen? Across social media, the discussion hasn't stopped. Some people still believe it was an inside act. Others say it was meant as a statement, a protest, maybe even a warning. But no theory, no comment, and no headline has brought anyone closer to the truth. So what does that mean? Did the culprits miscalculate or succeed in exactly what they set out to do? Because if the goal was chaos, uncertainty, and attention, they've already won. And that's the unnerving part. The blast itself may have been small, but the impact on trust, on safety, on the sense of control within Harvard's walls, that's far more lasting. For the students walking those halls now, for the researchers returning to their labs, that sense of vulnerability will take time to fade. And yet, Harvard's message remains steady. We are resilient. We continue our work. We won't be defined by this act. But even resilience has its limits when the truth remains hidden. Because someone out there knows what happened that night, the reason, the method, the motive. And until they're found, every unanswered question becomes part of a larger one. How much do we really know about the places we trust the most? If you've made it this far, I want to hear from you. What do you think was behind the explosion at Harvard Medical School? Was it a message, revenge, or something much more calculated? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe for more true crime investigations like this one. Because the search for answers isn't over. And sometimes the real story begins after the smoke clears.